Most Venerable Sir, dear devotees, today I am going to say another story. I am going to say another story from Dhammapada. The verses is like this. Na hantalikkena samudamajje na samudamajje na pabbatanan vivaram pavisse na vijjati so jagati padesu yattattito muncheya papakamma. Not in the sky, not in the middle of ocean or in a cave, anyone can escape from papakamma, evil deeds that he committed. This saying is uttered by the Buddha. There is a story, a very nice story. Once a group of monks was on the way to a village, and then they stopped at this village for their meal. In the same time, one of the houses around near to the village was burning and burning and burning. Suddenly, a crow came flying. The ring of the fire flew into the sky, and this poor crow, get caught and on the spot died. The monks who was taking the meal, after that they observed this incident, and they cannot understand why this crow had to die in this manner, and they thought only the Buddha knew. Another group, they were on the way to see the Buddha, monks, they also monks. They were on a boat. While on a boat, on the way, this boat then came to the middle ocean, stopped, cannot move. The boat cannot move, and the captain try and try, cannot. So one of the a person, I think is like a medium, who was inside there, and he told to the captain, there is an unlucky person in this boat. If you never do something to this person, the boat never moves. So the captain asked who? That is your wife. Then the captain said, no choice, the destination is very far. I have to kill my own wife. So he asked he instruct his followers to catch his wife and throw into the sea. She died. She really died. After that, the boat can move. And another group, monks, they were on the way to see the Buddha. So they went to a monastery and stopped and asked the people, the monks in the monastery, to spend one night because their journey is very far. So these people directed to a cave. So these monks were inside this cave. Suddenly, on the night time, a big huge stone come and close this cave. The monks were inside there for 7 days, no food, no water. They were suffering there. So all of them, these three groups, finally came to see the Buddha. They wanted to know why this incident happened. For the first, the Buddha told, we saw a crow. Why this crow had to die in this manner? I will tell you. One of in previous life, this crow was a farmer. He had a ox. After giving food to this ox, straight go and sleep and just relax, never do any work. So he lost his temper many times, and finally he catch this ox, his own ox, and tie a pot of sand on the like a rope, tie around the neck and burn. This ox died. See how cruel, died. Because of that, this farmer reborn. Bird took place as a crow and died. Again, for the second, why the boat could not move, the Buddha gave the answer. He told, in previous life, the lady who was in this boat, she had a dog. This dog is very kind, all the time follow this young girl wherever. One day, a group of gangsters, I think, they were talking something against this girl by admitting this dog. So she had no sense of understanding and reason. She catch her own dog, took a pot of sand and tie in the neck and throw in very suffering way, threw into the sea. The dog died. For the third, why these monks have to remain in this cave? In previous life, they were the cowherds. Their work is to look after the cow. So, they saw a huge iguana. Iguana means like a lizard, very huge during that time. This iguana, when was on the way, what these seven people do, straight direct this iguana into the cave and close. For 7 days inside, no water, no food, suffer. Because of that, the monks have to suffer. No death. No death. No death. So finally, the Buddha told these verses, no one can escape from evil deeds. Thank you very much.
Today his turn, Dhammasenas. Here. Next Friday, your story.
Page 40. Stanza 38 and 39 together. Yes, follow me. Anavadhita chittasa saddhammang avijanato pariplava pasadasa Panyana paripurati Anavasutta cittassa Ananvahata cetaso Punya papa pahinasa Natti jagarato bhayam Anavattita cittasa saddhammang avijanato Pariplava pasadassa Panyana paripurati Anavasutta cittassa Ananvata cetaso Punya papa pahinassa Natti jagarato bhayam. It's a very good teachings here in this stanza. He whose mind is not steadfast, he who knows not the true doctrine, he whose confidence wails, the wisdom of such a one will never be perfect. The first stanza. Anavattita cittassa. The mind is not a straightforward, not a strong enough, very weak. I have told you the reason why minds are weak. Because people waste mental energy through their senses for unnecessary things. Then the mind becomes weaker and weaker and weaker. Then fear, worries, disturbances, suspicion, uncertainty, insecurity always appear in the mind because of the weakness. So, anavattita cittassa, he whose mind is not steadfast, not developed, not cultivated, not straightened, then the mind is weak. Then, saddhammang avijanata, not only that weakness, there is no knowledge of the Dhamma, Saddhamma. Dhamma and Saddhamma, there are two words. Dhamma means nature, natural occurrences. When things take place through the influence of the nature or phenomena, that is Dhamma. Birth, growing, decaying, disappearance, Dhamma, but natural. That is not Saddhamma. Then world, universes, planet appear, exist, change, decay, disappear. That is Dhamma. Here Saddhamma. Saddhamma means noble truth, noble Dhamma. What is noble Dhamma? Four noble truths. Knowledge or realization or understanding of the Four Noble Truths, or understanding of Satipatthana, way of mindfulness, four kinds of mindfulness. These are known as Saddhamma, Noble Dhamma. What are those Four Noble Truths? We always talk about noble truth. They are known as noble truth because the truth that which never change, absolute, ultimate, unchangeable or everlasting truth. And there is nobody in this world who can change. Either God or the Buddha or any other supernatural living beings or powers, no one can change. That is why they are known as noble Dhamma or noble truth. How many are there? 4. What are those 4? Dukkha, Samudaya, Nirodha, Magga. These are the 4. Dukkha. The real meaning of this word is unsatisfactoriness in our life. It is true. Whatever we gain, whatever pleasure we experience, in the end or on the way, we experience some sort of problems, difficulties, disturbances, unsatisfactoriness. Life itself, this body, we love as most precious thing in this world. We are willing to do anything to protect, to save this body, because we claim this is our body, this is my body. Actually, this is not my body. If this is mine, I must have authority or power to control it. But I cannot control. I cannot control anything. Always I experience many things which I don't like, which I don't want, which create enormous sufferings and worries and disturbances. Therefore, how can I claim that this is my body? Just because I carry this here and there as a dustbin, keeping on our head, we claim this is my body. This is a dustbin. This is the nature of body. This understanding is the first noble truth. When this realization appears, completely change our mentality, our attitude. Because why should I harm others, disturb others to maintain this body? What do I gain by maintaining this body? By creating troubles and worries and suffering. This is the way how we change our way of life, through that understanding. After that, we don't misuse, we don't abuse our life by using this physical body to entertain this physical body. Then slowly changes take place in our mind, understanding. Then samudaya, the cause. Why these unhappiness, disappointment, unpleasant experience, pain and sufferings, disappointment always take place? There must be a cause. There must be a reason. We have our own reasons. I am suffering because of so and so, so and so. I am suffering because of that or this. But that is not the truth. I am suffering. I experience unpleasant feeling. I experience unsatisfactoriness because of my craving. If that craving is not there, I never suffer. Because things I never take seriously into my mind, just ignore. Because I have no attachment and craving towards this, then I am free from suffering. Take for instance, you collect jewelry, valuable gems, money, and protect them. You have craving, you have attachment. One day, fire completely destroyed, and the thieves enter, taken away your valuable thing. If you had attachment or craving towards your property, then you worry, you cry, and no one can console you. You get heart attack. You may collapse because of that craving. If you had no craving, yes, you have collected them to use, but by knowing the worldly condition, situation, because things are impermanent. Let us take money. Money comes to my hand from another person. I don't produce money. If I produce money, I have to go to jail. Money comes to my hand from another person's hand. So it is quite possible that this money can go to another person from my hand. This is the nature of money. Then there is no reason for us to worry about that, to cry. This is the nature. So things are impermanent. Things appear and exist and disappear. If you had that detachment towards your money, your property, your jewelry, you can say, never mind, why worry? You can see the difference. There is nobody to suffer, nobody to cry, nobody to fight, nobody to shout. Craving is the main cause. Attachment is the main cause. You have attachment and craving towards your parents, your children, your brothers and sisters. It is natural. That emotional feeling, satisfaction, affection that you develop, very important for you to entertain your emotion. But at the same time, you have to think deeply. Separation, departure is certain, natural. So one day, either earlier or the middle or in the end, there will be separation. When the separation takes place earlier, we cannot tolerate. When our children die earlier, we cannot tolerate. But definitely one day they will die. Therefore we had to keep this in our mind. The nature of impermanency. That is called understanding of the Dhamma. Then if anything happened to your children, unfortunate, then you have courage to tolerate. Because I knew one day this will happen. either earlier or later. And we miss our parents. We cannot tolerate when we remember what they have done for us. But it is natural. We have to freeze. We have to separate from our brothers and sisters and friends. Also natural. That understanding can console the mind. That is called realizations of the Dhamma. By knowing this craving is the cause of all our suffering, all our worries. Understood the cause of suffering. The belief that some people maintain is not very reasonable. We suffer today because we are sinners. The main cause is our original sin. At the beginning, God created us to live an eternal life without sickness, without old age, and without death. But our Adam and Eve at the beginning violated the will of God by eating the forbidden fruit, committed a sin. That has become original sin. When all the descendants, whole humanity have become sinners, to suffer from sicknesses, old age and death because of that original sin. We cannot agree with this. Not only humans, animals also suffer from sicknesses, old age and death. But they have not committed original sin. Not only animals, plant life also suffer from sicknesses, old age and death. So plant life also never committed original sin. That is why I told you that we cannot agree with this. It is not due to original sin. If life comes into existence due to combinations of elements and energies called componenting, the nature of all these componenting is friction, clashes, which create pain and sufferings and decay and death. It is natural. Nobody behind this. They are called natural, this is Dhamma, nature. Buddhism also taught something similar to that. So one day, when this whole world, last full moon day, last night I explained this, when this world completely disappeared, because this is not permanent. One day definitely this earth and planet and suns and the moons and everything, universes, not at once, disappear from time to time. When this one completely disappeared, what will happen to all those living beings here on this earth or in this world? They cannot disappear. They must reappear. There are so many endless world systems where there are some living beings, but they are not human beings. Some are fortunate, some are unfortunate. Some are leading a very pleasurable life, others are experiencing very miserable life. So what will happen to all those living beings when this world is disappeared? Rebirth take place in various other universe, planet, according to their own karma. Those who have good karma will be born in certain places where they can live, experience peaceful life. Those who had committed bad karma will be born in certain areas, certain planets where life is not pleasurable but miserable or painful. Later, those dispersed particles again started to accumulate. Gravity, magnetic power, cosmic energy support those dispersed particles to accumulate. They'll go on accumulating, will take such a long period, millions of years. Then the formation again takes place. Then the atmosphere slowly develops. Then the living beings can exist. At that time, some of those devas who had some sort of supernormal powers slowly come down. So when they came down, what happened? They had a very tempting aroma. They could not tolerate it, created their temptation. These Brahmas or Devas who have suppressed their craving, that is why they had supernormal power. When their craving is developed, aroused, after eating, experiencing the cream of this earth, they have lost their supernormal power. After that they could not go back, settle down here. We are the descendants from those Devas and Brahmas, origin of life, human life, not created by God. You can see the difference now. Others say God created at the beginning. Buddhism says God did not create. And Devas have come down from Devaloka and from heaven and had to settle to stay here because of their craving. Now every religion talk about craving. Temptation created by devil according to them. But Buddhism never brings devil into the picture. It is not devil who created craving. That is the hidden craving in the same mind. You can see only Arhantas have no hidden craving. But all the others who have developed their mind by suppressing their mind. Craving become inactive or passive, but temptation can arouse. That is how the mankind existed again. This will go on again and again like this. Cycle of world system. Realizations of this. Why we suffer? Because of craving. We have lost our supernormal powers because of that craving. And many who have developed this power through their meditation, even during the Buddha's time, also completely lost their power, dropped to the ground again because of their craving. So craving is the main culprit for all the evil things which create suffering. But we are not ready to accept, because we like craving. We like it. In spite of all these sufferings, we like to develop our craving. That is called ignorance. Because of this reason, we can say we are ignorant. When realizations appear regarding this nature, then Saddharma, the real Dhamma, we understand. Then come to the third item, Nirodha. Nirodha means freedom. Moksha. In Sanskrit it is called moksha. Pali mokha. Mokho, nirodho, nibbana. Nirvana also called moksha. Freedom from suffering. By realizing this, we follow a suitable method to reduce and reduce and reduce and reduce and reduce, and in the end wipe out. Cleanse the mind from this craving. Then moksha. Then nirvana. But it is not heaven. In heaven there is craving. Those Devas who came down from heaven to this earth, they were suppressing their craving. But after eating that cream here, again aroused their craving. So heavenly life is not the solution to get rid of our suffering. But we can enjoy our life for a long period, that's all. So nirvana means freedom from suffering, that's all. We say nirvana is very nice, but we cannot explain. We can take one example, then can understand. Assume we have a severe sickness which is very painful, intolerable. But after taking all sort of medicines, we could manage to get cured this sickness. Now no more pain, no more suffering. Then the doctor or the physician Somebody, how do you feel now? You say, I feel very nice. Very nice. Now can you tell me what that word nice? Is there anything for you to show? Why do you say, oh very nice? What is the answer? Very nice means no more pain. No more pain, no more suffering. And he say very nice. That is called nirvana. Can you understand that? Nirvana means no more pain. Then the method. How to experience, how to gain, how to see the end of this suffering. Whatever method we practice to stop our suffering, physical and mental, never work. We can control them for the time being. Circumstances again arise. No end. Then the Buddha introduced this magga, path, the way, the method. What is that method? This method is different from all the other existing religions that existed during the Buddha's time and after. That is how Buddhism became entirely a different religion. Buddhism did not follow the other religious method. So they have done so many things to get rid of their suffering, to get rid of their sins committed by them. The Buddha did not accept any of those methods. What are the things that people have done? Reciting, asking God or supernatural living beings to stop all our problems and worries and sufferings and take us to heaven. A very common method existed long ago because they believe that God can do that. The Buddha did not accept. Some others started to perform various kinds of rites, rituals, ceremonies and some performances. By thinking through these practices, they can get rid of all the evil deeds, bad luck and bad karmas and sins committed by them. Animal sacrifice still exists. In many other religions still exists animal sacrifice. They say must sacrifice a goat, must sacrifice a ox or cow, must sacrifice chicken or ducks. That's the belief. So the Buddha did not accept this belief. Traditional Buddhists also maintain this belief. Those who have not learned the Dhamma or Saddharma. But they do that in a very diplomatic way. Now let us take what housewives do. When they want to slaughter a chicken, what they do? And they get hold of the chicken and the knife and say, you are a poor animal suffering here in this world. I don't like to see that you are suffering here. I want to release you. Therefore, I cut, I kill, after that you can go to heaven. But I will up you. Wonderful logic here. To release their suffering, they kill. This is those who have not learned the Dhamma, the way how they justify the act of killing. So animal sacrifice was condemned by the Buddha. When he was practicing austerity in order to gain his enlightenment in the jungle, he has seen a man driving a few hundred or 500 sheep or goats. One small land had broken leg. This poor creature could not run with the others. And this man started to beat the small. Then the Buddha, not yet attained Buddha, he came and carried into his hand this land, the broken leg. Then asked this man, well, where do you carry these animals? He said, our king is going to sacrifice, animal sacrifice, going to get rid of all his bad luck and bad karmas and sins. So we are going to perform this ceremony. Then the Buddha also followed with them by carrying this land and went to the king. Are you going to sacrifice or kill all these animals? Yes, because it is very important. Then the Buddha asked, what do you think about human life? Yes, that is what I am doing. To save my human life, I am going to sacrifice all these animals. So human life is more valuable than thousands and millions of other living beings. In that case, I am going to offer myself for you to sacrifice, because my life is more valuable than these 500 gods. So you can sacrifice my life. After that you can have a peaceful life. Then the king opened his eyes, realized something. Then released these poor animals without burning them, sacrificing them. This is the Buddha's attitude. Then they burn rice, ghee, butter and corn, various vegetables, millions of dollars worth of things they burn as offering to God, still exists in India. I have seen how they sacrifice. By reciting their mantras and go on burning. They say the smoke reached the heaven. So the Buddha rejected these beliefs. Then they had another method by taking holy bath in holy Ganges, a river. You can see thousands and thousands of people go there to take bath. They strongly believe all their sins they can wash away by taking holy bath in that river. Then the Buddha said, if you can wash away all your sins occasionally, I think those fish, turtles who live forever in the water have no more sins, I think. Because every day they wash away their sins. This is the way how we ridicule these kind of practices. And the Buddha also did not pay much attention toward auspicious day for people to start their business or some other work. A man who wanted to start a business consulted an astrologer or medium, and he advised him to wait for another 6 months and given a suitable date to start this business. Meanwhile, another person started the same business, the same area, so he lost the ground. Then he came and reported to the Buddha what happened to him. Now he had nothing to do. Then the Buddha advises, Nakhattang patimanentang attho balam upechaka. Attho atthassa nakhattang king karissanti taraka. You can see this in my book, What Buddhists Believe. Those people who always depend on planet and stars to start their work, searching a suitable date and time to start their work, miss the target. But those who have courage and knowledge and effort to start their business, that is the proper auspicious time, without depending on planets and stars. This is the Buddha's attitude. There is another beautiful saying, I think I have repeated this sometimes ago, but it is very meaningful. I like this very much, personally. It is in Sanskrit language. Not the Buddha saying, but Indian philosophy, very deep. He says, I am getting old. To dig out my memory, sometimes I have to wait for some time. This is called age. That is also Dhamma. The brain cells or the neurons are not active. When I explain the meaning, then later I think I remember. It is like this. People always depend on their God, their karma, their fate, their good luck, without using their effort and knowledge and energy and understanding. But many people miss the target. They are mentally bankrupt. But those who have knowledge and courage and understanding with confidence to start their work without depending on God or karma or fate or good luck, regarded as great heroes. Buddhists, Hindus always say what to do, that is our karma. They don't want to do anything to find out where the mistake, what to do. what to do, this is our karma. They keep quiet. And those who believe in God, it's what to do, it is will of God, it is up to Him, we cannot do anything. But this philosophy says, forget about all these things. Use your effort and energy and knowledge and understanding, you will succeed. So this is called human intelligence. We should not surrender our human intelligence to other forces. So the method introduced by the Buddha, now you can understand, has nothing to do with all those practices that others perform as religious practices. He says, practice 8 noble paths. That is the path. That is the method. This is the way to Nirvana. There is no any other path. We cannot attain Nirvana by worshipping and praying and offerings and performing rite and rituals or doing anything. We cannot attain Nirvana by accumulating good karma or merits. Merits cannot take us to Nirvana. Merits cannot create a Buddha. Buddha was not interested in merits. Only the cultivations of the mind, development of the mind, purifications of the mind, and understand. Not through karma or not through meritorious deeds. So life after life he went on cultivating, developing, purifying his mind to gain enlightenment. Not by accumulating merit to enjoy life. Now when we give dana, when we offer something, we gain some merit, we aspire, will. Our wish is to gain merits to enjoy our life. This kind of merits cannot take us to Nirvana. When the Buddha, during his previous birth, when he practiced dana, he did not aspire or create any will or wish to gain worldly pleasure to enjoy his life, but to reduce his selfishness, reduce his craving, reduce his attachment, to purify the mind. And with compassion towards others. He practiced dana with compassion to release their suffering, not for him to enjoy his life. See the difference now. So the 8 noble paths. Now I have no time to explain. I think you have heard. Only one item I explain. Through these Samma Ditti, Samma Sankappa, Samma Vacha, Samma Kammanta, Samma Ajiva, Samma Vayama, Samma Sati, Samma Samadhi. 8. Right understanding. First we must have proper understanding. Start from the beginning. Right understanding. If understanding is wrong, everything goes wrong. Whatever we believe, whatever we do, whatever we perform, everything goes wrong if our understanding is wrong. Now, the rest. Saddhammam avijanata. Those who do not know, avijana. Vijana means know. Avijana means do not know. Those who do not know saddham pariplava pasadassa. Confidence or faith or belief. If our belief or confidence or faith is wavering, changeable, we cannot make use of that faith or confidence. Because every now and then we are going on changing our belief, our faith. Shakeable. We cannot fix the mind towards one particular method or system. When people come and tell us something, we accept that and give up the former. Later another group come and tell us something else. Then again we give up that one and accept what they say. Then after 1 or 2 years, another group come and tell us something about it. They accept this one, give up. That is wavering mind. We had to fix our mind towards one particular object. Then develop confidence and faith and belief. If the mind is wavering, if that confidence is shakeable, cannot use that. Saddha bijam tapo vutti. In Kasi Bharadwaja Sutra, the Buddha said this. Saddha or confidence is just like bija. Bija is seed. When we plant, say, mango seed, or rambutan seed, or durian seed, the roots slowly go down and develop. Then the trunk, the plant goes out. Later become a huge tree. If the roots are not strong enough, that tree cannot stand. When the wind blows, that will fall down. The strong roots that hold this tree is like developed confidence. When the confidence is strong, we never change. Of course, confidence we have to create through understanding. That is why the Buddha says, pariplava pasadas, shakeable with confidence. Panya paripurati. Panya, real wisdom, supreme wisdom, never appear in our mind if our minds are like this. If the mind is not cultivated, developed, not straightened, if the mind is very poor in the knowledge of the Dhamma, no understanding of the Dhamma, Saddhamma. If Saddha, confidence is shakeable, very weak, in such mind, Panya, real wisdom never appear, very shallow. We can understand when we look at, observe the way how people do certain things, behave in such a way, talk in such a way. Many of these things we can see in their mind, weaknesses. That is why this knowledge is important. Now you are coming here on Friday to gain such knowledge and understanding, to establish, to develop. Then you can create firm determination, straighten your mind. After that, you know how to handle things. You know how to face many of your problems. You know how to overcome many of our problems through this knowledge, this Dhamma. And this is the advantage of this Dhamma. Especially young people, when they are very young, they do not experience so much commitment, burden, responsibilities and difficulties. But after their marriage, when their children are growing, when their business started to do business, they have to face enormous problems which create disappointment, unhappiness, hot temper, and no time for anything. Knowledge of the Dhamma they can use at that time to face many of their problems, to carry on their work smoothly, without grumbling, without fighting, without quarreling, without accusing, without creating enemies. They know how to handle things. Knowledge of the Dhamma. That wisdom is there only. Next one. Anavasuta Jittasya, he whose mind is not sought by lust. Anavasuta Jittasya, if the mind is not polluted by lust. Here lust means very strong craving toward sexual pleasure and all the other sensual pleasure, but directly referred to sexual side, because sexual urge is the strongest urge in not only humans, animals and other living beings. And that sexual urge can completely blindfold, mislead, can create enormous disaster, nasty thing, immoral thing, wicked thing, when the mind is influenced or intoxicated with lust, can kill others because of this. Therefore, they must know how to handle sex just like fire. Fire can be used for good purpose. If handled wrongly, burn the whole thing. Religion gives guidance. Religion never goes against this, but gives proper advice how to handle, how to maintain without abusing and misusing. Next one. Ananvahata Chetaso, he who is not affected by hatred. When the mind develops this hatred, the mind becomes like an oven, becomes so hot, and the whole system, physical system change. Face become red, eyes become red because of the heat of the hatred. So if the hatred is developed in that mind, no one can make use of this mind for any good purpose, always for bad purpose. So by knowing this danger, you must know how to control and reduce and calm the mind. Ananvahata Chetaso. Punya Papa Pahinas. This is very important. Just now I mentioned. Punya is meritorious deed. Papa is bad karma. One who is free from good karma, punya, and bad karma. What will happen? Natti jagarato bhayan. For such a vigilant one, there is no fear. Fear never appears in the mind of a person whose mind is free from good karma as well as bad karma. Punya and Papa. Now Arahantas, Buddhas have no good karma. They never create good karma because no craving. They also never commit any bad karma. To create good karma and bad karma, we must have craving. To enjoy our life, to have pleasurable life, to become very rich, we do a lot of good karma. Craving is behind. Again, good karma create the effect or the result after some time, not immediately. But bad karma, immediately. That means when you go and rob, immediately you can see the result. When you give dana, you have to wait up to next life to experience the good result. When you go and rob, immediately you get the result. But the effect also very dangerous. Bad effect. So when the mind is pure, in that pure mind, these two are no more there. Because we need good karmas to continue our journey, life after life. When those who have completed their journey, ended their journey, they have nothing to do with good karma. And if the minds are pure, they never do any bad thing. That is why I say punya papa pahinas. So we had to develop our mind up to this level. The mind must be free from good karma, that which help us to run in the samsara, repeated birth and death. And the papa, bad karma, which creates sufferings and worries and disturbances. Both we have to stop. And then we will be free. Natti jagarato bhaya. Jagara. You know the word jaga actually derived from this word jagara. Jaga. Jagar means one who does not sleep. Jaga cannot sleep. He must watch. Jagara. Why this person is called Jagara? There are 5 things for that mind to maintain. Saddha, Virya, Sati, Samadhi, Panya. Saddha, Sati, Virya, Samadhi, Panya. These 5 things always the mind watch. Therefore no time to sleep. But here this is not the physical, the mental. Body may relax, but the mind is alert. These 5 things. What are these 5 things? Saddha. Always maintain confidence. Never change the mind. Confidence is very, very strong in that mind. So maintain this confidence. Watch. Then virya. Energy and effort. Never reduce. Never slow down. Never give up. Use more and more and more effort and energy in that mind. Then sati. Mindfulness. I think you can understand. One day I explained, there are two ways for us to maintain mindfulness. Can you remember? Mindfulness, usually we say one-pointedness. Fix the mind only one particular point. That is called mindfulness. But you have to go further. There are two ways. Watch the mind mindfully. Recall, remember, try to remember all the good deeds that we have done from our childhood. Mindfulness must be there, because that will help us. All the good deeds that we have done during our lifetime, mindfulness. Again, awareness. Be alert that we have enemies. These enemies can attack, disturb us anytime. And we must know who these enemies are. So we must try to guard ourselves, our mind, from these enemies. And who are these enemies? Temptation, irritation, these things are our enemies. These things drag us into the battlefield. Then we lose everything what we have developed. This is the uncertainty of mind. So be alert. This mindfulness we have to develop in two ways. Always try to remember, recall all the good deeds. At the same time, remember these are our enemies. Anger is our enemy. Jealousy is our enemy. Selfishness is our enemy. Hostility is our enemy. Then samadhi, calmness, without allowing certain thoughts, concepts, beliefs, ideas, suspicions to disturb the mind. Without allowing these things to create confusion in our mind. You must know how to maintain calmness in the mind. Then, when the mind is calmed, then the body also gets the chance to relax. Start from the brain cells. Brain cells, then the glands, the heart, blood circulation, tender organs of the body, also the whole system get the chance to relax, to function in normal way. Calmness of the mind. Then Panya. Realizations of the truth without creating imagination, without depending on concept and belief, through analysis, by using analytical knowledge. Look at in rational way, by using sense of reasoning and understanding, then we can see Panya, supreme wisdom. These five things do not allow us to sleep. The mind cannot sleep. That is very important, to guard the mind. The body can relax, body can sleep, but not the mind. O punya papa pahinassa, when the mind is free from all these things, natti jagarto bhayam. In that mind that does not sleep, jagarto, natti bhayam, no more fear. Fear completely disappears. Why? Because no fear, because Jaga is there to protect the mind. See how beautifully the Buddha has introduced this. Okay. Thank you very much, sir. Sharing of that. Okay. Imina punya kammena imajaya gunuttara acari upakaraca mata pita piya mamang Suyo Chandi Maharaja Gunavanta Narapice Brahma Maharaja Indace Lokapalace Devata Yamo Mitta Manusace Majjata Velita Pice Sabbe Satta Sukhi Hantu Punyani Bhaktani Me Sukham Chidam Ventu Ipam Papeta Omatam Imina punya kammena Imina uddisena ce Ippaham sulabhesheva Tannu padana chedanam Yesam tani dhamma Yava nidvanato mamam Nasantu sabdaeva Yato bhave bhave Ujo chitto atipanyo Sallekho viriyavamina Maralabhantu lokasam Katunca viri